We got hot weather in Adelaide, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are, it was going to be a great day. We'll look at some of the birthdays and anniversaries in a second or two. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion in the Garage, end of the week. It's a program where, I don't know if you've just found us, and it could be you're listening to us as an iPod broadcast, something that I have to thank Andy Martin for putting us onto, and apparently we're popping up in all sorts of different platforms and places where you get your favourite podcasts. But if you're listening to us on a podcast and you want to actually look at what we get up to in the garage, you'll find us on Facebook, Jeremy Cordo's Court of Public Opinion, and I think it's on YouTube as well. So you can listen to us or you can actually watch us. We thump the table, we rattle the cage, we shake the tree, and hopefully make some difference. You never know. Happy birthday, happy wedding anniversary, 24th of February. Yes. Oh yes. Britain's Prince Charles announces his engagement to Lady Diana. That's in 81, but the one that I think jumps out at me on this page is 2022, 1 year ago, this very day. Russia's Vladimir Putin announces the start of a special military operation. This man could do well in Canberra, couldn't he? I mean, you declare war on somebody and you find an expression that somehow makes it more acceptable, more justifiable perhaps. A special military operation, oh yes, in Ukraine, to demilitarize the country. What planet is this man on? Moments before Russia launches a full-scale pre-dawn invasion by land, air and sea with bombardments of several cities and international condemnation and everything that's gone on for the last 12 months since. I don't know, it could well be, Pete and I were talking earlier about the clouds of war that seem to be gathering over the world. We have a wonderful opportunity to enjoy peace and a fantastic world. And we have these despots, tin pot despot dictators who have ambitions. I don't mind people with ambitions, but they should not be ambitious in that direction. Dear oh dear. The Flying Scotsman goes into service in 1923. Derek Nimmo. I should have brought that picture across. I've got Derek Nimmo on the wall over there. He came into the studio when he was doing, I'm not sure what he was doing, All Gas and Gaiters, I think it might have been, at the Her Majesty's Theatre. He came to Adelaide quite often, actually. He played the archetypical minister of religion. Very good at it. Derek Nimmo, British comic character actor. He dies of pneumonia while recovering from head injuries which occurred in a fall. He was only 68 years of age. It was 1999 that happened. DuPont begins commercial production of nylon toothbrushes. That was in 1938. What in God's name did they use before nylon, I wonder? Horsehair? I don't know. Bristle? Something? Steve Jobs, American computer entrepreneur and co-founder of Apple, born in San Francisco, 1955. Elton John was knighted by the Queen at Buckingham Palace in 1998. Dinah Shore, American singer. See the USA in a Chevrolet. She did the commercial. I think they sponsored her program for years and years and years. Actress and TV personality, The Dinah Shore Show. She dies of ovarian cancer at 76. This day in 1994. Dennis Weaver, the American actor. He was Chester in Gunsmoke. James Arness was Matt Dillon. The movie I think I saw him in, which I thought really displayed his acting ability brilliantly was a thing called Duel. Did you ever see that, Pete?
The truck driver?
The truck.
Yeah, oh
Yeah,
yes.
it was just him in the truck and a lot of close-ups in his eyes, not a lot of dialogue because there was no one for him to talk to, but facial expressions and reactions. And there he was in the car, and there was a truck that was after him, inexplicably. Strange plot, but incredibly effective. Duel. I'm not sure whether it was critically acclaimed or won an Academy Award or anything, but I certainly thought it was a great movie. He died at 81 in 2006. And Alain Prost, French Formula One racing driver, 1955 he was born in France. And if it's a special day for you, I hope it's an especially nice one. I mentioned at the end of the program yesterday that people should go and take a cold shower. In this weather it's a good idea, but really on this subject people should go and take a cold shower. There are libraries where the thought police, or as they call them, sensitivity readers. Have you ever heard of sensitivity readers, Pete?
Oh, every day. Every day there's something.
Every day there's something. Do you think that they're doing it to play into our hands or tease us or torment us? Sensitivity readers. It's like the morality police. You know, we're only one step away from the stuff that goes on in Iran. Sensitivity readers. They're going through the shelves and they're removing books by Roald Dahl. Good luck with that. Roald Dahl published, I think I saw the figure, 275 million books. How the hell are you going to cancel that? Enid Blyton. Oh, Biggles. Biggles was I got a whole stack of Biggles books. I love Biggles books. Never could afford them as a kid, but gee, now I collect them. And they do come up often. People, they're highly sought after, Biggles books. Anyway, they're there for the dust heap, believe me. Racist and sexist, they say. He probably was. What the hell? In those days, people were. Enid Blyton. Enid Blyton. Noddy is a definite no-no. You can't wake up feeling a little queer. Good God. Noddy. Well, Noddy, shock horror, had gollywogs. And what about big ears? Insensitive to people with big ears, they say. Thomas the Tank Engine, the fat controller. That's body shaming. This is absolutely stupid. We're allowing these idiots to take control of not only our thinking, but our children. And therefore, of course, our future, which is really what they want. And Pete, music, we talked about they banned Tom Jones' Delilah because of domestic violence or something. I was thinking of some other great songs, and you're much more into music than I am. I thought of Randy Newman's Short People. Have you heard that?
Yes. Well, I'm a short person.
Oh, no, you're not. Oh, I've never noticed that. But what's give me a line out of Short People.
Short people have long noses or something like that, I think.
The bit I got was short people have no reason to live. But the one I think is fascinating is Mac the Knife. Mac the Knife. In fact, Caroline got me the words to Mac the Knife. Just quickly. Oh, the shark, babe, has such teeth, dear, and he shows them pearly white. Just a jackknife has old Mac Heath, babe, and he keeps it out of sight. Now on the sidewalk, Sunday morning, lies a body just oozing life. Eek! And someone sneaking round the corner. Could that someone be Mac the Knife? There's a tugboat down by the river, Don't you know? We're a cement bag, just a dropping on down. That cement, babe, is just for the weight, dear. 5 will get you 10. Old Mackie's back in town. It's a song about a contract killer. It is. Are you going to ban that? Great hit for Satchmo, Louis Armstrong. And I think Bobby Darin had a great version of it. Frank Sinatra sang it. Andy Williams sang it. Oh, God help us. Now, someone sent me this. Formerly a political staffer, Brittany Higgins is now a visiting fellow at the Global Institute for Women's Leadership. A visiting fellow at the Global Institute for Women's Leadership. Now, back when she worked for Linda Reynolds, the Defence Minister, I would have loved to have known what qualified her for that job. How old was she? 20-something? 20-something? 21? To be an advisor to a minister of the Federal Parliament of Australia. I'd also like to know what qualifications she brings to the, what's it called? The Global Institute for Women's Leadership, and what sort of advice. The leadership advice that I would give any young woman or any young man, including my own children, would be, don't get drunk, don't put yourself in harm's way, and always take responsibility for your behaviour. Mind you, believe it or not, that's the very statement that got me the sack from my former radio show. So I'm honestly the odd one out. I'm on a completely different planet here. I don't get it. I think it was about 2017 when Australia signed up to one of those United Nations treaties. I'd love to know just how many of those we've signed and what our commitments are. This one was about torture. It seems these people, the United Nations, they go around to various countries who have signed up to check that they're not torturing people. The ridiculous thing is that they don't go to the countries who are torturing people. The ridiculous thing. Dear oh dear. But of course they wouldn't sign up. They didn't sign up, did they? They're not on the list. Mind your own business. We'll do what we want in our own country. I'd probably say that to you at the point of a Kalashnikov. Now, could you imagine them allowing people into the jails in Iran, Iraq, Yemen, a lot of these Middle Eastern countries, even Myanmar, China? Can you imagine the Chinese welcoming the torture consultants or investigators from the United Nations? Well, the United Nations have got their nose out of joint because the Attorney General here in Australia, Mark Dreyfus, has refused to allow an inspection of youth detention centres in New South Wales and Queensland. Now, I don't know why he did that, but we are a sovereign nation and we can decide what we want, when we want it, and if we want it. So to the United Nations I say, suck that up, sunshine. It's a salutary warning, you know, just not to go around signing these open-ended treaties and God knows what kind of commitments, particularly with the United Nations. There was a story about a big increase in the number of kids who seem to be affected by asthma. An epidemic, the reporter said. An epidemic exacerbated by there not being enough doctors to see the children. We have a national, pardon me, we have a national shortage of GPs, she said. Well, as I reported to you the other day, you can go along and dig up through the archive somewhere, it's only a couple of weeks, the Grattan Institute comments on the subject. The Grattan Institute, an authority, really, a go-to group of people on all kinds of subjects, including, of course, medicine, health. This is what I'll quote. This is what they say. We have more general practitioners than we had 40 years ago in Australia, and this country has more general practitioners than any other comparable country. And because of the money involved, universities are pumping out qualified doctors and dentists like never before. So would the journalists of this country please go check your facts? Please, please, please. The number of banks closing up branches, and the same goes for Australia Post. And they're not the only people, of course. It's not a healthy sign. I saw Steve Jones, who's the Assistant Treasurer, saying on television the other night, Australians are changing the way they do their banking. Well, I put it to you that Australians are only changing the way they're doing their banking because we have to. For a long time they've been trying to get us to use the bank in the wall or do it online. I mean, thank God my bank is not like that. I've just told them I just don't trust online banking. And, you know, so far they've left me my checkbook and they've left me with a certain amount of tolerance. But I have no doubt that I'm a marked person. I don't dispute the fact that the world is changing, but I just simply refuse to change along with it. And frankly, if there are enough of us who refuse to change along with us, or with them, they won't change, or won't ask us to change. We find ourselves without the convenience and without the service, and I think these are things that we can quite reasonably demand. The personal touch. It's very important. I don't know. Branches are good, customers are good, employment is good. What's the problem? Why are we obsessed with shrinking things down? Is it the bottom line? Is it too much emphasis on profit? Well, you'll go out backwards if you do that. Businesses grow. Why do we have all the branches, suburban and out into rural Australia? That was because the banks grew. What is wrong with growth? Speaking of banks, it is good to see that they're making impressive profits, because your banks are not profitable. Every one of us is in trouble. Well, it's the passing on of the interest rate rises that tends to worry most people. The increase in interest rates to depositors seems to happen differently to those people on the other end of the transaction. I'm not sure of the timing, but it does seem that the interest rate increases are passed on to borrowers faster than depositors. The RBA points out that only 1 person in 10 has some sort of mortgage stress at the moment. 1 in 10, 10%. That could be the case. But you should only borrow anyway money knowing and having calculated your ability to pay back that loan at the normal interest rate, which in this country is about 5 to 7%. That should control or at least influence the amount of money that we borrow. Now, put on top of that statistically that only 1/3 of us has a mortgage. I'm one of them. There's another group of people, a very large group of people, self-funded retirees, who are rather keen on having the interest rates go up. You've got to think about that. And listen, just quickly before I leave you and wish you a very happy weekend, talking about service, let me tell you a little trick which could come in useful. If you're sick of getting the runaround on the telephone, you know, all you want to do is to speak to someone. It's not unreasonable, is it? And you don't want to be told, press 1. Press 1 if you want such and such. Press 2. I mean, you can spend half an hour or an hour pressing buttons and getting absolutely nowhere. Here's what you do if you want to cut to the chase and simply speak to a person. You've got more chance of getting the service that you are quite reasonably entitled to if you type in on your keypad thing 0 hash. 0 hash every time you're asked a question. When they say push something, you just hit 0 hash. And it'll put you apparently straight through to a human operator. Who would have thought? A human operator! So they're out there. Now this, according to my notes here, has been tested on 8 banks, 3 airlines and 7 retailers, and it says here it works. So if you're fed up with being forced to deal with robots every time you have a simple customer service inquiry, and you don't have 2 hours to spend on the telephone, just remember you hit 0 hash every time you're asked a question, and let me know if you get into any kind of trouble. That could be fun. Now, next week I want to possibly spend the whole of Monday's episode telling you about something quite extraordinary. It's a long story, but I've got to tell it to you in context. But very briefly, there is a Chinese professor, man of medicine, and some people regard him as being a genius, brilliant. He has been put in jail. Not an unusual occurrence in China, they tell me, but the reason is what stumps me. He's been put in jail because he has been working on curing in utero disabilities. Can you imagine? No more cystic fibrosis, no more asthma, Asperger's, all of the things, spina bifida, all of the genetic diseases, crippling, awful problems of humanity. They can be fixed through this thing called gene editing. Some people would think playing God. But the thing I want to talk to you about Monday is that we were doing it right here in Adelaide in 1985. It's an amazing story. How it happened, how I got involved, makes for, I hope, interesting listening. We'll talk Monday. I'm Jeremy Cordo with Peter Clayton. The Court of Public Opinion will be back. Have a great weekend. Believe in yourself, and goodbye for now.